Hey, good evening. Welcome to another edition of Neighborhood News, Tuesday night. Back again, Carlos.
Tuesday, Channel 95, 7 o'clock at night. We back with one more show of the Neighborhood News. If you are watching this show and is not a Tuesday night, it's because you're watching a repeat show. So look for our new show next Tuesday at 7 o'clock here at this channel, Channel 95. Sejam bem-vindos a mais programa das suas notícias da sua vizinhança. Hoje nós estamos aqui novamente para fazer mais programa para si, com muita informação, novamente, como aconteceu e como acontece há já quase 3 anos. So we're going to have a lot of news today, like it's been happening for almost 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. I know, it seems like 3 years.
I know.
But before that, I'm just going to talk real quick about, there is a program in Fall River right now, and they're offering free trees to folks in the Maplewood neighborhood and also the Sandy Beach area. The city of Fall River can get up to 15,000 trees. And the plantings will occur in April, June, and September, and actually up until November. Sign-ups will be accepted on a rolling basis until June of 2016. So a lot of folks out there over the last probably 10 or 15 years, and I'm on the tree planting committee, our arborist has informed us how the canopy in the urban forest in Fall River has been slowly shrinking. So this is an opportunity to get those two neighborhoods back to par. And there are so many different things that trees do for us. They save money and energy costs, heating and cooling costs. They add value to your property and your neighborhood, and improves the quality of life for the neighborhood. When you see something, a tree or plantings like that, it gives you a calming feeling. And lastly, it reduces noise, which we all need to have that here in Fall River. So if you, the number's up on the board there, 617-997-1795. Those are the folks that you would get in contact with. This is a city grant that we received, so it'd be great if as many people as possible could do this. The only thing is you're going to have to maintain it. So if it's in front of your property on the sidewalk, you'll have to maintain that. Trees need approximately 10 gallons of water per week. But it does pay off in the end, and it's something you can show your kids that you did too. So, so look at that. It's a great program. Where else can you get a free tree? So.
Very good, very good. Another thing that I would like to very quick to announce is the citywide cleanup. It's coming June 6th. Yep. We're going to be in New York, but I have a team already that's going to be working on our neighborhoods during the cleanup. So it's a citywide, doesn't matter which neighborhood you belong to, your neighborhood's going to be doing a cleanup. So I advise you to contact your neighborhood leader, the president of your neighborhood association, to get more details, or you can call the mayor's office. And they can pass you on some information too.
And everybody has a Facebook page. You could post something on there. Our group is going to be doing the traffic islands on Brighton Avenue. We're going to sweep around there, clean it up. We throw mulch down every year, and we're probably going to put some plantings on each island. So we could use help. And all the other neighborhoods good. Kennedy Park is doing a big thing. So you know, we have a lot of negative talk all the time, but here's your chance to get out there and do something positive that'll help your community. In the end, you're going to feel better about it. So.
Yes, and we have 3 different cleanup setup, because we do the Pleasant Streets the weekend of the procession from the Espiritu Santo Church, and then we do Britton Park, and we do Lafayette Park. So we have a lot of cleanups. But the 6th we will be join all the city to on the cleanup. Yep. And talking about cleanup, we had
it ties right into this.
Exactly. Right? We had a very nice show last week, which we had Jazel.
Yep.
here, and we talked about the pay-as-you-throw, and now we have now that the mayor put a committee
force,
together, so that's what we're going to talk about today, and like always.
Yep. Welcome, Dan Botelho. He's now the co-chair of this task force. God bless you.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. God bless you.
Yes, and good luck.
Yeah.
You're going to need a lot of prayers. We're all going to pray for you.
Como é que a gente diz em português? Paciência, senhor, paciência. Thanks very much for inviting me on today. I greatly appreciate it and giving me the opportunity to perhaps answer some questions for the community, your own questions, and just go over a little bit of the goals of the Solid Waste Task Force.
Okay, cool.
I will start with this. A lot has been said, and we're talking about trash for 7 months now, that we needed more time, that we need to educate people, that this trash was put down our throat. So all of that. Do you think that's the case? Before we even get into the...
I do think that they didn't follow the recommendations of, I believe it's Mass Environmental. It's one of these Massachusetts government groups that helps administer these functions. It's where we got the grant for the folks, the inspectors. Yeah. And they have a timeline that they set up for education, for rollout, and we steamrolled that timeline. The previous administration just completely steamrolled it. I mean, you kind of say, well, how much education do you need for throwing, for using purple bags? But the point is for a city our size, with our demographics, and you just need to bring it slowly on. And the other mistake that they did is they counted on the revenue from it. So it wasn't going to be gravy for the budget. It was counted on revenue, which was a huge mistake for a brand new program, because you never know what your compliance is going to be. You can hope it's going to be something decent, but they pretty much they counted on revenue from 100% compliance, which I feel was incorrect. And then they also counted on some savings because of recycling. But unfortunately, our recycling rate, because we don't have because we have quote unquote a single stream recycling, meaning you put everything into one cart, and we don't have a transfer station which separates stuff. The city of Fall River, unfortunately, is unlike other communities that does separate at a transfer station, where we actually have to pay for recycling. It's much less, but we're still paying. Yeah. So those were some of the issues that I see.
I think, getting into that, I'm thinking it's more, and I kind of thought at the end when they were going to charge dumpsters, they were going to inspect dumpsters and private businesses. I think at that point it started going over the top, and it just incited everybody, I think, at that point. So I think that could have waited till next year. And it probably would have, quelled some of the issues that we had out there. So
yeah, but on the other side, I can see was a gap, and we need somehow to
fill the gap.
To fill that gap. Yeah. This was the idea. Like, could be anything else. Well, this was the idea that was introduced.
But that's part of the problem, where you have folks out there who said, look, it's a money grab. And in a sense, are they wrong? Not really. Because we had to fill a budgetary deficit gap from the closure of the landfill, and this administration, no, I'm sorry, not this administration, the previous administration, the Flanagan administration, failed in every year they were in office to have any foresight whatsoever to say, wait a second, that thing is going to close, and it's probably going to close during my administration's time. Yeah. And they didn't do that. So then it's fire alarm, so to speak, and you've got to fill the gap. Well, what's the quickest way to do it? Well, if you were going to institute a barrel fee or something, they didn't have, you could argue they didn't have the manpower to actually go out there and create the bills, do all this kind of stuff. And that's part of the reason why, from reading the contract and understanding a little bit, why they went with Waste Zero. Waste Zero does all of the administration. And that's one of the reasons why we paid them $600,000.
I mean, I would like to say a couple of things. Number one is I don't agree with the argument that we need more time to educate. I was part of the education part. I did commercials in Portuguese. We had printed that I bought today. You remember those, right? We got this printed. Yeah. We got this delivered. Speak about doing neighborhood meetings. We teach what goes where. Everything is in here on this pamphlet. So the part that say that we need more education, and on top of this is when this came out, we already had the blue bins for 6 years.
We definitely had the blue bins.
Okay.
I guess you can. There's point to your argument of, well, education is education. It's like you got to buy a bag. How hard is that? However, the administration counted on funds that they had no idea. There was no projection that they had from previous years. They looked. I don't even think they did a good approximation of looking at other communities for a full compliance rate. Not New Bedford, excuse me. Brockton, for example, does have a pay-as-you-throw program, but what they consider compliance, from what I understand, if you have at least one bag in that bin, they consider that compliance, maybe partially compliant or not. But the point is again, the city said, well, this is how many tons that they did a straight math. This is how many tons that we dump per year. If you have a 30-gallon bag, this is how many bags you're going to need to fill 30 tons worth of trash. And they broke that down because some of the smaller bags as well. And they said, well, this is how much money this will raise. This is how much money we can put out there. They really. And I understand that even currently there's the debate going on about compliance. The point still is that in your first year of rolling out a program, you consider that gravy in your budget. Maybe you count on a quarter or a half of it. You don't count on all of it because you're going to have issues with bringing people on. And if you want to call it educate, you can. If you want to call assimilate, you can. The point is getting everybody to work the project, work on it and do it.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, I understand that. The way that and the purpose of this probably was not the right or the right way to approach the community, and this should be like an extra money instead of us counting with the money that we don't have it. But nothing changed from 7 months ago to now, because I'm going to tell you why. And I said this in front of the city councils. I have respect for they call the recall group. I have respect for them because they fight for something they believe in. I mean, I could not agree with, but I have respect because they have a right, and that was their right.
Yep.
And everybody that I know from the recall group, they just don't abandon the trash outside their door. They call somebody to take care of their trash when we are on the process, if it's legal or not legal, if we're going to go or if we don't go. And I got the respect from these people because they didn't just throw the trash on the street and say, if you want to take a ticket, if you don't want to take it, it's your problem. Okay? So they handle, but though I have the problem is with those that go in front of the city council and say that you guys are stealing my money. You guys are taking my money. Then I can say the same thing. Guess what? You're taking my money because I'm paying the bags. I'm paying for the bags, and you're not even recycle. I will respect you if you say, here's my bin, 100% recycling, and here's a small white bag, that's my trash. If that happens, I will respect them. But for them just to throw everything in one bin and go in front of the city council and say, you're stealing out of my money.
No,
I'm sorry, buddy, you're stealing my money because I'm buying the bags.
I just want to tell you, your poll went down now. You just lost a lot in the polls.
No, I
tell you
mean,
that right now.
again,
Are you running for something? No, and here's the thing: is I absolutely understand where you're coming from, and I can understand the people's argument of the fact that they feel cheated, in the sense that, look, I've been complying, and I didn't need to comply, or this law or this rule really had no teeth. The point is one, I don't want to live in a city that's got trash all over it. I don't. Yeah. I'm one of those guys. I own a 3-family home that I live in, and I still sweep, like my grandfather did, a block down from me, the gully of the street. Yeah. I hate seeing cigarette butts on the street. I hate seeing trash on the street. I like a nice, for the most part, a nice, tidy property. If I've got time, I'm out there, I'm doing that. So for me, I went with a private hauler. And that's another thing the city didn't consider. How many people would jump to a private hauler? And they wouldn't see revenue from that. But the point still is that, you know, the folks who were on the recall team, and I was one of them, we did an amazing thing. We were part of an amazing movement. But let's not kid ourselves that the previous mayor shot himself in the foot with some actions. And if some of his actions didn't take place, I'm not 100% sure if things would have went down the way that they went down. So it's not to diminish the work that everyone on the recall did. That was a lot of work. We took a lot of shots from a lot of different people in the community that were supporting former Mayor Flanagan. And that was one of the hardest things, is being in the crosshairs of folks and having all kinds of nastiness put on social media, whether it be true or not. And that was very tough. That was indicative of that individual, of the mayor. That's how he rolled. But long story short, I don't think that any of us should get up on a high horse and say, well, we did this all by ourselves. We didn't. Mayor Flanagan did himself in with his actions. The midnight ride, the windows, just to name two. It was just a roll-up. And then he made a very poignant statement during his election in, it was 2012, that I'll never go to a pay-as-you-throw program. And then a year later, not even, pay-as-you-throw is here. And here's the point, ladies and gentlemen. The point is that we had the landfill close. We lost that revenue. We understand that. So now what is the city going to do? He looked at a money grab. I've got to cover this money in the budget. Otherwise, I'm going to be cutting a lot of services everywhere. So the one thing as an individual on this task force that I have to look at the community and say is, what do my fellow citizens in Fall River want to do? What services do you want? What services don't you want? And if you want to keep all the services, what are you willing to pay for them? And how would you like to pay for them as well? And that's really what my committee is going to look at, the programs that are out there. Can we collect trash more efficiently? If we privatize, would that be more efficient? If we go to a hybrid system where some of it's privatized, other of it is collected, maybe the city still collects its recycling. I don't know. Do we stay with pay-as-you-throw? Do we go with a cart fee instead? And I've asked people personally, and I've had some people staunchly say, hey, look, I throw out a bag every 2 weeks, a 30-gallon bag every 2 weeks. Yep. So why is it that you're going to give me a barrel fee and I'm going to pay the same as somebody that's filling up the barrel when I'm only putting one bag in that barrel? Is that fair? And that's when the conservative comes up in me a bit, and I'm a consumption tax guy. You know, in 2012, 2011, ever since I got involved in politics, one of the reasons I got involved in politics was I am tired of people taxing my income. They measure everything on, well, this is how much you made. Well, you know what? I worked hard to make that. Why don't you tax me on what I spend instead? A sales tax. I advocate for a national sales tax. And much to the dismay of my fellow recall friends and acquaintances, pay-as-you-throw is a consumption tax. It's going to tax me on how much I throw out and how many bags I use. Did I change my behavior very quickly when pay-as-you-throw came along? I did, because I got one barrel from ABC from my 3-family house. And as the landlord, as the owner, I told everybody, if you fill that barrel and we have to get another one, you're going to have to pay for it, because it's not going to come out of my pocket. And if you don't like it, you can go get another apartment. And you know what? That's hard. It's not easy. It might be cold. It might be callous. You guys could swear at me if you want. But the point still is in the end, we have to be responsible for ourselves.
But what are you going to do with those that don't want to pay for the service? That's a lot of these people are using this bag problem for not being part of the process, for not buying, for not spending. They want everything for free.
I get it, Carlos, but I think if they, and what it sounds like you guys are going to do you're going to look at everything.
Yes.
And then you're going to come back and say, these are the numbers aren't lying, there are numerous people on this task force from different opinions.
Walks of life, absolutely.
And they're going to look at this and they're going to say, this is what it is. You know, it comes to the end. You get your car fixed, and this is what it is. You either get a new one or you fix it.
And to be honest, I want to be fair for the objective of the group, because Councilor Mayoza sent Mayor Sutter, and this was his idea. Yeah. He sent him a pretty good write-up that he wanted to put in his first 100-day action plan. So this was Councilor Mayoza's idea. And from the conversations that I've had with the task members, because we haven't officially met, we're actually officially meeting this Friday the 10th. Will be our first organizational meeting, and I'm going to try to come prepared as best as I can with information from that was collected prior on different programs. But the point still is that we've all kind of already agreed through correspondence that putting a rating system out there where we each get equal weight into saying, yes, I like this, I don't like this, is a pretty good idea. And it gives the administration some options. Because just to go up there with a flat-out recommendation, this is what you should do, it either puts the administration in a spot of, I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it, or it puts us in a spot of, he did it, it was our idea, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
right.
What we're going to do is more of a rating system, and you know, we'll have some things rise to the top and some things come down, and there's going to be criteria. Eco-friendliness, you know, green, is it green? You know, recycling. Efficiencies, you know, does this save inefficiencies in cost, inefficiency in collections? So you would ask private haulers, okay, how long does it take you to run this route, this, that, and the other thing? What's it going to cost us? And then you look at it and you go to, okay, we know how the city's doing it, what it costs the city to do currently with labor, with trucks, with this and that. And then you bring on a whole different thing of, well, what if we opened our own transfer station? Could we be the masters of our own destiny with that? And you know, you also ask, well, do I want to do a transfer station where I'm just looking at recycling so I can actually make some money on some of my recycling? Or am I doing a transfer station for everything where we're doing a complete single stream, we've got recycling, we've got solid waste, and we collect all of it, or we ask a private hauler, because they might be cheaper, to actually collect, get this and bring it to us, because then we're going to, in our transfer station, separate it out so we can make some money on recycling. There's so many possibilities out there, and this is just what I've learned from the last couple of weeks. So, you know, people were right. They're like, well, why is he on the task force? What does he know? And as far as trash goes, I mean, I don't know much, because I'm not even a good trash talker. But I'm learning, and that's really what we need, what was needed on this committee. Somebody that has some financial common sense and can look at the numbers and say, you know what, does this make sense for the community to do, but can also look at, well, how is this going to play out in real life and in the community in action? Is it going to work? That was one of the issues with pay-as-you-throw, was how is this going to affect the community, the individuals, and how are we going to get people to comply? And it's still the issue with with pay-as-you-throw, because as you mentioned, you stated rightfully so, you've got individuals who they're not going to comply whatever you do until you find them. So what are you going to do with that? Well, we're thinking of solutions for that as well. I do want to make it clear that we're not the pay-as-you-throw committee. We're the Solid Waste Task Force Committee. Our task, our mandate by the mayor is there are definitely options out there. Discuss them, vet them, get them back to me. And my point that I wanted to state last night in front of the city council was the mayor actually asked for us to get something to him before he had to submit the final budget into to the city council. And unfortunately, although there's been a good amount of groundwork done, I really haven't seen the full proposals in the past, and neither have many other of the committee members. And to get everybody into a room, we need some time to look at this information. So although we're going to work our hardest, whether folks would like to or not, we're going to work our hardest to try to get something to the mayor so he can make an actionable decision within fiscal year 16 timeframe, meaning that, you know what, we might be a month into the year, but this is what the Solid Waste Task Force is suggesting, and it's going to save us money. So guess what? We just freed up some money in the budget. Yeah. If we can do that, then I'll be as happy as a pig in its own filth.
Yeah, no, it does. It makes sense, and I think you brought up earlier what do you know about trash? I think you need to have people from the community too, because I think sometimes people might think people that are in that industry are a little biased toward that. And I'm biased toward the pay-as-you-throw, that's the only thing that's going to make people recycle. It's just my opinion. You talk to people in the city, they all agree. Pay-as-you-throw, they wanted to start back in the Lambert administration, but nobody had that
political gumpspot.
Yeah, to get out there and do it. Nobody did it because they knew how folks are. So, I think with anything, not only the trash thing, we have to decide what we want to do. And I've heard you speak about this, Dan, that we got to decide what we want and how we want to pay for it.
Exactly.
And that's it. I mean, I think so many people are frustrated. I'm frustrated that, you're right. We pay these taxes, but nothing gets done because we're going back to this whole trash thing, which should be a non-issue. What aggravates me to no end is we have 31 kids in elementary schools in this city right now, 31 kids in each class, and I don't hear anybody ever going into uproar over this. We're talking about a $1.25 bag. Everybody flips out about that.
But why are they flipping out about the $1.25, the $2 bag? Because it's affecting everyone.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's really and it's no offense to folks that are renters, because renters, there's two sides to this argument. Renters do help me pay the taxes on my property, but if that apartment was vacant, I would still have to pay the taxes on that property.
Yeah, exactly.
So with this program, because it affects everyone, whether they can afford it or not, now they've got skin in the game. Yeah. Which is one of the things that I like, because now you've got skin in the game. You've got a right to say, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
So, going back to that, what do we want to do as a community? I'm actually suggesting, and have spoken briefly with the administration about putting a poll out there. Let's get real numbers, and let's be very specific with programs. Let's put a poll out there asking pay-as-you-throw with fines for non-compliance, or, for example, barrel fees with heavy fines for non-compliance of recycling. I don't know, but we're going to see, and the only thing I can promise the general public is this committee is not going to be like a committee of the past. We're going to meet, we're going to work hard, and we're going to get some solutions to the mayor as quickly as possible.
And whatever you bring it back, I hope you'll get the whole community behind you, because if you don't have the whole community behind you, you won't have the city council behind you. With that said, John, see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dan.
Dan.
Good
Thanks
job.
very much.
Good
It was
job.
a pleasure
Good
being
job.
here.
Dan,
Good
best
job.
of luck.
Thank you very much.
Good
I
luck.
appreciate it,
Good
John,
luck.
very much.
Yeah. Oh.